Championship points leader. He's already won 2 of 3 events this season, and coming in with all the success that you've had already, what are your expectations for this race?
Definitely to try to keep pursuing what we've already been doing, and to keep winning, really working hard on a good race setup, and our car is really superb on long distances, so we're hoping that everything will work out just well.
When you look back over past performances, there was one oval victory a couple of years ago on a tight oval in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Have you found a comfort zone now instead of road racing on ovals?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been pretty comfortable on the ovals, and right now we got an excellent car for the Milwaukee Mile here with DSTP Atlantic, and hopefully we can win this race.
And he'll be starting outside row 2. Let's check in now with our colleague, Jan Beekes.
Gary, the man that's been keeping Buddy Rice honest this season is the driver of car number 3, and that would be the rookie phenom Dan Weldon. And Dan, you come into this Atlantic season, you win the first race, now we come to an oval, you're on the pole. Does that surprise you?
To be honest, and it sounds very big-headed, but no, not really. When you have like a fantastic operation like PPI Motorsports behind you and support from BG Products, Oakley, and Jayhard, it makes your job much, much easier. And it is my first oval in an Atlantic car, although I have done ovals before in the championship that I raced at last year in USF 2000. And that was a good training ground, but driving one of these cars is certainly different. We've tested before prior to this race, and that went very well. We did constructive testing rather than just trying to go as quick as we can, and I think that's helped me. But the car was good in qualifying. It did get a little loose on me, and we managed still to put it on pole, even though we did get loose. So that bodes well. Hopefully we'll put that right for the race, though.
You consider Buddy Rice your main opponent?
I think Buddy's going to be strong. A kind of surprise for this race has been Martin Basso. He's been pretty strong all weekend, but I think the top 4 or 5 are definitely going to be strong. And it's just a case of, it's 60 laps. It's a long race. I like to win all the time because it's my job, and it's what I want to do to get into Champ Car next year. So I want to impress those guys. So I'm going to be pushing very, very hard for the victory, and we'll see. Hopefully I'll be speaking to you in the winner's circle. But obviously, it's a championship, so we've got to bear that in mind as well. But I'm just going to do the best job I can with the car I have and see what result we get from that.
And there have been a lot of people up and down pit road very impressed by this young man's talent. Brian?
Will Langhorne is a driver who's disappointed with his results so far this season, especially so because he was picked to run at least in the top 3 in the championship. Will, what's it going to take to get back on track for you and the team this year?
I think it's going to be continuing with the program that we've had. We've had a little bit of bad luck, but as everybody knows, racing luck comes and goes, and we definitely have had a little bit of bad luck this year, but we're sticking with our program, and we definitely expect to see us back on the podium and winning races soon.
Well, I would expect these guys to be back there. Look for Will and his active motorsports team to do that. Let's go with Jan with another driver who's looking to improve on his performance this season.
Brian, some last-minute fuel and adjustments for Rocky Moran Jr. driving the blue number 29 NTN bearing machine, who currently sits 4th in the championship, and I know you'd like to try and improve upon that. What kind of changes are you going to put on the car? Because I know you're not quite where you want to be here.
Yeah, we're basically actually going more towards our teammate setup this weekend. We've been throwing a lot of different setups at the car, and it's been pretty hard. We've actually been struggling this weekend. We've been 7th, you know, from session to session. It's changed, but that's basically where we've been all weekend. So we're going to throw his setup on the car and see how it goes. And, you know, I just got to thank NTN Bearings and Dave Cutler for giving me the opportunity to be out here. It's been a pretty rough weekend, but I think things are going to be a little bit different for the race, and we can just work on it from there.
They're rolling the dice, but so are others, Gary Gerald.
Well, certainly one of the most impressive newcomers to the Atlantic Championship chase for the year 2000 is Martin Basso. He comes from Argentina, and this young man who's now headed for the racetrack, a rookie, but has been so impressive in your first oval competition. Now, did you really think there was any chance you could qualify for the front row?
Yeah, thank you very much. The team have made a good work. He brought me an excellent car, and this is my first time in oval. This is my first time in the first row, and I hope to make a good race.
What are you worried about?
The start. The start is very difficult. The first corner is difficult. This pace, the first lap maybe was a good race.
Well, we know it's going to be exciting. This young man starts alongside the pole sitter Weldon, and we'll get ready for the start of Atlantic Championship competition from the famed Milwaukee Mile in just a moment. There are 19 cars competing here today, and each one of them represents a real team effort. No driver here today would be able to take the green without all manner of assistance from some very talented and, of course, committed individuals. Earlier, Jan and Brian had a chance to catch up with some of the magicians of the macadam, if you will.
They say that teamwork is important in any racing adventure, and certainly the same is true for the Atlantic Championship. They also say that there is no I in the word team, but there is an I in the word family, and this DSTP Atlantic program is more like family than it is a business organization. And driver Buddy Rice, I'm sure, is glad to be adopted into this family. I'm here with Jim Griffith, who's the Director of Operations, and Dee Dee Rogers, the owner of DSTP. And Jim, what a stellar group of people that you've put together.
Yeah, we've really been lucky. We've been able to put together, with the help of my wife, Pam, been able to put together a group of our old 2-liter mechanics, bring in some new guys, and use some of the Atlantic people that have been in the business for a while, and put together a great, hard-working team.
And Dee Dee, you just have to be pleased. In your first year of competition, you got to be excited about the success that you've had.
Oh, very much so. I am so proud of this group of people. To start up a new team in November and win your first race in March just is outstanding. I'm really proud.
That's what teamwork is all about. Now let's go to Jan, who's standing by with another Atlantic program.
Brian, Lynx Racing is celebrating their 10th season of Atlantic competitions with their drivers Mike Conti and David Rutledge. Now, the principals of Lynx Racing are team owners Peggy Haas and Jackie Doty. And the principle behind Lynx Racing has always been, Peggy, to give drivers an opportunity that they wouldn't have had otherwise. How do you choose those drivers?
Well, we look for the complete package. We look for natural speed, the star potential, and that little fire in the eyes, that special little it that will make them a star is mostly instinctual.
And of course, they have chosen 2 champions at Lynx Racing. And Jackie, can I ask you, over the 10 years, are there anything in particular that stands out as highlights?
Well, obviously in 1996 when Patrick won the championship, winning the last 9 races in a row. And then this year at the Indy 500 when Memo was trying to qualify, and he got out of the car and he had the Lynx patch on his driving suit, and that was very special for me.
And once these ladies have chosen the drivers, then it is up to team manager Steve Cameron to put them in victory circle. Now, most of the success with Lynx was with the Ralt chassis. How now, after a couple of seasons, are you doing with the Swift?
Well, I think we've got a very competitive car. I don't think anyone's going to be dominant anymore. It's just too competitive. The level of teams, I think, has really come up, and we just work hard to have a competitive car at every race, and our drivers do the rest.
So there you have it. Thoughts from the drivers and the guys who give the drivers a chance to go fast. Now, the only element left to add to the recipe is the track, and believe me, the Milwaukee Mile really knows how to throw a party. We'll set the field. We'll take the green in just a moment. Round 4 of the 2000 CART Toyota Atlantic Championship is coming right up. So our field begins to roll at Milwaukee, and a talent-laden field it is. In echelon style, they pull away on pit road. We'll have 2 drivers providing us with onboard looks today. Here's Martin Basso. He starts outside in row number 1, and that's the view we'll get right over his head. And here's Pete Mercier, who is at the back of the field. And boy, has this guy had an intriguing weekend. Yesterday, in qualifying, as he was coming up to speed and headed toward turn number 2, he encountered a problem. It turned out to be a major problem. Let's take a look at what happened during qualifying. This was Mercier down by the grandstand, headed into turn 1, and suddenly the car began to twitch just a bit. Around it went, and boom, the right side hard against the wall. There was extensive damage to the 14 machine. It resulted in the crew having to basically work all night long to get it restored. It has been put back together, and Pete Mercier starts 19th now.
And he did not have the opportunity to run in the warm-up this morning, so right now you can see the stickers on the tires. It's the first time he's been behind the wheel of this car since that accident. Great job by the crew.
Now let's go down to Brian Till once again and get a last-minute update before we go green.
Well, you heard Dan Weldon talk about getting a little loose in qualifying, and let me show you what his opinion of a little loose is. We've got some computer data from the car here. We've got a speed trace along the top, steering, and then throttle position, and a steering wheel to kind of help show you. As he turns in for the corner, they turn left at about 30 degrees of steering angle, but halfway through turns 1 and 2, the car gets loose. He actually has to turn the car to the right about 50 or 60 degrees to save the back end, all at well over 145 miles an hour. Just a slight lift off the throttle, then right back down to the throttle stop, and off he goes. You want to qualify on the pole for an Atlantic Championship race? you got to drive 10/10.
And you got to have nerves of steel. Nobody wants to turn right on an oval. How big a concern is that?
Well, it's not so much of a concern necessarily in qualifying or in practice because you can creep up on it. But on the left-hand side of the screen, the red and white car, Martin Basso, his first opportunity on a true oval, and he starts on the front row. That's when it's totally different here. You're out there in race condition without oval experience. The other drivers don't necessarily know what you're going to do.
Well, and he told us as we were having our little chat as he headed toward the starting grid a short time ago that he was concerned. That was his concern about the start. And these rolling starts now in the Atlantic Series here, for some of these drivers, they're just not used to the whole procedure on an oval. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of games are played here between the two men who start in that front row, with Daniel Weldon from the pole position and Basso in the red and white car alongside on the outside. We expect that they will be going green this time. Safety car, in fact, has now pulled in on the pit road. So as they come toward the fourth turn on the front straightaway, the racetrack is open.
And boy, they're going slow.
Very slow. But look how tightly aligned they are. It's a beautiful alignment, but it's a very slow pace. Now they begin to accelerate. We anticipate the green. We'll keep an eye on the flag stand. Here is the green flag being displayed, and they fan out heading for turn number 1. And it's Basso with a high line who grabs the lead. Weldon running second. Buddy Rice gets a nice jump. He battles alongside out of the back straightaway out of 2 in a challenge for second place. And Rice in the blue and yellow car has taken over the second spot.
Daniel Weldon brought them up very, very slow. He's trying to challenge back now, but that is one of the disadvantages of bringing them up so slow. If you don't get on the power as quickly as some of the others, he lost 2 spots in the blink of an eye.
So Basso leads lap number 1. This is a 60-lap race, and back at mid-pack, a lot of traffic there.
Cooper Orsi on the high side in the silver car. Seems like the high side early on here is the fastest way around.
He has just in front of him David Rutledge in the new colors for the Lynx team. But right up front, we've got a challenge for the lead. Here comes Buddy Rice now. He takes a peek on the inside. He has the lead. A very bold, well-timed move by Buddy Rice. And Deanie Rogers, who is the owner of the DSTP team, sending her approval from pit road. So on top for the first time in the early laps of this event is Buddy Rice, the season points leader. Wheel-to-wheel racing. Weldon on the move, trying to pick up a position as we welcome you back to competition in the Atlantic Championship Series on the Mile Oval at Milwaukee. Buddy Rice is our leader at the moment. And he has stretched out on top now and opened up a bit of breathing room over his second-place challenger.
And Martin Basso in the red and white machine, who was leading momentarily, has now dropped back a couple of spots as Dan Weldon has come through. And you might have seen it on the onboard just as we went to commercial. That car is starting to get loose. He's starting to do some of that correction that Brian Till was showing us at the beginning of the show. That may be okay for qualifying, not for the race.
Now when you've got 60 tours of this oval and the car gets loose, the back end wants to get away from you as you come off those corners and slide out toward the wall. Driver has a handful. Rice now and Weldon. They've been the dominant drivers in the early races this season, and they run 1-2. Here's Gurney in number 48 challenging Conti in the red, yellow, and black car. And number 17, Conti has the advantage for the moment. That's a race back for 7th place.
Certainly appears that when these guys start the race, we have Will Langhorne here on the high side, TJ Bell on the low side. When they get side by side, it appears as though the high line may be faster, and that will catch on as they see guys pull that off.
Continuing to watch back 6th, 7th, 8th places here. Now we go back up front, and this is Buddy Rice who has the advantage, but boy, Weldon is closing ground. Let's get more from the pits and Brian Till.
You kind of guessed we haven't really had this bright sunshine all weekend long, and you kind of had to guess with setup. Do you think you're going to be able to keep the car out in front? Did you guess right?
Yeah, we think so. I mean, it's early to tell, but it looks pretty good so far.
It's always a gamble.
Jim Griffith, the man.
Oh, but Rice is high.
He was very high.
Rice just got big time high coming off the final corner. Something's not right there.
But he held on to the lead. It's about 3 or 4 lengths over Weldon. Jim Griffith
and who helped set that car up, has been Engineer of the Year a couple of times, Mechanic of the Year in the Atlantic Series over the last 5 years. He moved over from the Lynx team and has helped this team immensely.
And if you're Dan Weldon there in the blue car.
Problem. 2 cars up against the wall, and I think Mercier, yes, car number 14, you can see that he's got damage here on the left side up front. And there was one other car that slid to a hole beside him and had minimal contact. That may be Scarallo in the white number 6. Joey Scarallo, a rookie driver out of Smithton, New York.
Boy, that's crushing for this crew here.
Boy, they worked so hard to get that car ready to come back out. And Mercier, who was trying to move up from the back of the pack, had gained a couple of spots, but all of that is gone now.
You know, that's the 3rd time that he's wrecked. He had a crash on Thursday in the open test, and then the one that we documented when we came on. And let's see if it was single car. He lost it again on his own. There's no one around. Joey Scarallo comes in after the fact and hits the wall. And, man, that's 3 strikes and you're out in this particular case. Scarallo in the background just panics.
Looked like he was taking, evasive action, and it went around on him for the rookie driver. Mercier, also a 25-year-old rookie out of Las Vegas, driving for World Speed Motorsports, the Speedworks machine. And this crew obviously very disappointed after all the work that they have done. Appears that the drivers both seem to be okay, and the safety crew all over the situation.
Okay, now let's listen to the throttle, see if he breathes it much on the entry. Nearly flat out. This is where he lost it. Oh, he was on the other side of the course. He just gets high. He's just really high. See, he took his hands off the steering wheel because unfortunately 3 days in a row he's had practice at that. And boy, he's just got to be devastated.
Well, that for Pete Mercier and his team came from the Dodge and the Formula Dodge and Russell Series, driving instructor at the Derek Daly Academy, and he's had a very, very tough day. Let's get back down to the pits with Brian.
Well, Mike Doyle, you guys worked all night long to put this car back together, and no time to check it this morning. You just had to kind of go. Was there anything that Pete said, or?
Yeah, we got the car done like about 15 minutes before the start of the race, so we didn't have any time to check it, to dial it in. I mean, we replaced 4 corners, the transmission, the engine, the wings. I mean, literally, it's a brand new car, so we just went out, and sticker tires we started out with, so totally unproven vehicle. I mean, it was a big gamble, so didn't say a whole hell of a lot, but you know, it's a big gamble. We replaced a lot of parts. Everybody's really tired, and took a gamble from the back, and we'll get them next time.
Well, obvious disappointment on the face of the team down here for Pete Mercier. They gambled, and this time they lost.
And one of the things that the team had to do was completely build a gearbox from scratch. There was not a Swift gearbox available. They had found a case, went and got all the parts, and so not only did they have to rebuild a car, a gearbox from scratch. It's a 5-hour operation.
Boy, and the body language speaks volumes right there. This exhausted crew now disappointed because their driver is out of the competition. We'll be back with more from the Milwaukee Mile after these messages. Well, they're getting temperature into the tires, but you're under yellow, and we're anticipating going green very shortly as Buddy Rice leads the single file procession down the back straightaway at Milwaukee. Rice last year was on the podium at Milwaukee, but it took a dramatic late race pass to get the 3rd rung on the podium. He has the lead after starting in the 4th position. He's got Weldon right behind him in the red and white car of Basso. Andrew Bourdin in the blue car runs 4th, and Rocky Moran Jr., another blue car, is 5th. And we are back racing going into turns 1 and 2.
Bourdin took a look to the inside. Martin Basso, who we ride with now, at the previous start of the race, we saw the car got loose. So when he gets in the middle of the corner here, let's see if he has to put any correction into the car. It's a little bit high, but at least when the tires are not real hot, it doesn't appear as though that car gets loose.
Back at speed, completing another lap. No change among the top 5. Rutledge runs 6th. Orsia, that silver car, is 7th, right in front of Conti. Alex Gurney is in the 9th position.
Now look closely at Hoover Orsi's car. That's the silver one. The helmet there is not Hoover Orsi's helmet. It's Jimmy Vasser's. So if you're wondering, what is Jimmy Vasser doing in Atlantic competition? Turned out that Hoover Orsi had to borrow this helmet from Jimmy because he had cracked his in a testing crash at Phoenix not long ago.
Very interesting. Where do you come up with this stuff?
Well, I saw Vasser on the track. What's Vasser doing in Atlantic? I had to go find out about it.
Well, of course, Jimmy Vasser had a great history in the Atlantic Series in his early racing days in open wheel competition, and that's the type of springboard this series has been. We continue to watch that battle. Orsi hangs on to 7th position, Conti right behind in 8th, and Gurney in 9th. We've had no change up front as we keep an eye on these two as they battle.
And one thing when we were talking about tires and you come to the first oval race of the season, one of the things that teams do not know is how that tire will perform on the long run. They all know how it'll perform on the short run, and we may see some changes in handling of the cars as Alex Gurney pokes his nose inside here.
And the door is shut for a moment, so he slips back and hangs on to that position. He's in the blue and white number 48, and he's getting some pressure from the teenager Bell. Bell on the inside. Looks like he may make the pass.
That was a pure case of loss of momentum. Alex Gurney went to make a move. He had a very fast, and TJ Bell is heading for pit road, I think.
Yeah, he was way out of the line, and he is headed toward the pits. So the teenager at age 19 out of Sparks, Nevada, is wheeling number 55, the Michael Shank Racing entry, into the pits. And that's unfortunate because he was looking like he was ready to challenge, had gained that spot, and then promptly had to head for pit road. And he drives all the way through, and he doesn't stop.
That's weird.
Now, we can't explain that one, but up front, here's Buddy Rice, number 27. And he puts a lap on Bell as we saw Bell on the entry road merging out of the back straightaway. So Rice continues to set the pace. Got a little breathing room now, about a half second over Weldon as we take another time out here at Milwaukee. We welcome you back to Atlantic Championship Racing on the famed Milwaukee Mile. Let's keep an eye up front now as Weldon is looking very racy here as he started to close in once again on Buddy Rice. Now that the field is spread out and there is traffic you can see in front of our leaders, this opens up a myriad of opportunities for either man.
And we had seen before, as they had a bit of a long run, that Buddy Rice had some trouble coming off of the corners. Now he could be boxed. Here comes Weldon.
Oh my, and Rice comes back out and right off the rear wing is Weldon. Weldon looks inside and Rice shuts the door. That was a very close call there. But Rice was able to meet the challenge. Daniel Weldon, the rookie driver, U.S. Formula 2000 champion last year. He's got some experience on the ovals, as does Rice, who's now a veteran in the Atlantic Series, and we're loving this.
Martin Basso in red and white here is having not as easy of a time working his way through the traffic as the leaders did, and you can see that they have somewhat disappeared in the distance, so he's going to have to try and reel them in or hope again that they get stuck in traffic.
Andrew Bourdin in the blue and orange there also sliding by some traffic. He runs in 4th place. Dave Rutledge rounds out the top 5.
And the car that they're working past is Akihiro Asai, and it's painted identically to the car that we had seen earlier of Pete Mercier. That's his teammates.
Well, we're getting a good look at the number 3 machine. That's the newcomer to the series. That is Daniel Weldon. Let's learn more about his day and his team as we go to Brian Toon.
Well, Michael Harvey, Dan lost a little bit at the start, but you've seemed confident throughout the whole thing, and he's actually chased Buddy back down.
Yeah, we're doing just fine. This is going to be about tires. It's a lot warmer than it has been in testing, so we feel pretty confident. Dan's doing a good job. He's just sitting there. We're going to get him.
Confidence on the part of PPI. They feel like they've got him covered.
Well, he's only about 1.5 lengths off that rear wing now of Rice, and Rice mirrors are full of blue and yellow right behind him.
And the lines are much different, Gary. You can see that Buddy Rice is coming high and actually never really comes low on the racetrack, and that's an indication to me the car is not handling properly. And behind here, Weldon seems to have things just he can drive wherever he wants to.
How hard is it for the rookie to be patient? We'll find out here now as traffic is coming up, and another opportunity will be at hand momentarily.
crews talking about tires. Like I said previously, they have not really seen a long run, and people are being a little bit conservative, being real easy on the tires because they don't want to have some kind of surprise 3/4 the way through the event. But as Brian told us, these tires were designed to be more durable, so you don't have that problem.
We're just past the halfway point, and still you can see traffic up front. Stefan Juan, number 12. Here comes Weldon now with a look in the inside and a pretty good run. Is Rice going to be able to hang on? Wheel to wheel. Oh, they're so close. Look at that. Just inches separating the pair.
I think they were interlocked. I think those wheels might have been interlocked there for a moment. That's some gutsy driving. Here we go again.
We're going to try it again at the other end of the racetrack. High line Rice, low line Weldon. Advantage Rice for the... Oh, they touch. They spin on the back straightaway. Rice goes all the way around. Weldon continues to go straight. Rice gets it straightened up as the yellow flag comes out, and Buddy Rice has lost 3 spots, but he keeps it pointed in the right direction, and he amazingly kept it off the wall.
But Rice's car is damaged, and so is Weldon's. What were these guys thinking? Here's 1 and 2 in the championship, and I think they've knocked themselves out of this race.
We will find out shortly. It certainly looks like the low line may be having them head for the pits. They were running 1 and 2, and if they do head for the pits, Martin Basso in that red and white car, top of the screen, will be our new leader.
Unbelievable.
And
crash
here they
on the
come
straightaway.
to the pits. Well, they went for a lap and a half, and as you said, Jan, the wheels looked like they were absolutely interlocked. Let's take another look.
Okay, you're running down the straightaway, and I'm sorry, but Daniel Weldon just came up and turned in to Buddy Rice, in my opinion. Buddy Rice kept his line. Buddy Rice is on the left of the screen on the high side. Running down the straightaway. Well, Buddy Rice does come down a little bit, but then also Dan Weldon came up. Okay,
Well,
does the yellow car come down, or does the, well, you know, now that I look at it in slow motion, Buddy Rice does come down a little bit. But why did Weldon not turn the car to the left and get out of the way?
Well, that's the question. Let's go to the pits as they work now on these damaged cars.
Down in Rice's pit, they're replacing the nose box, and they felt the suspension that seems to be okay, but they're going to have to put a new front wing on it. They may actually send him out without the front nose box so he doesn't lose a lap. They're trying to drop him off the jacks and get him out before the pace car.
Oh, this is going to be close if he can make it without losing the lap. Brian Till once again.
In Weldon's pit, it's the same thing. They're going to have to replace the nose box, but I think Dan is going to lose a lap. Buddy got back out. I can't tell if he got out in front of the car, and it looks like they're working on the right front tire or suspension.
Well, and we can see here with this view that there is damaged suspension. It is definitely bent. One of the upper arms there on the left side is bent notably. Now you're getting a very good look at it. Now, Jan, how safe is it to drive a race car like that that's got bent suspension?
It's not safe. He'll be back in, and the Atlantic Series stewards will look at it and say no go.
Well, both men get back out. Basso is now our leader after a dramatic incident here on the back straightaway of the Milwaukee Mile. We've got more action coming up in just a few moments. And back to Milwaukee. More action in the pits. Buddy Rice is back in, and the new nose is going on. Brian?
Well, they're working hard to replace the nose, but they're being held by the officials here. He's going to have to rejoin at the end of it. I don't think he lost a lap, but they're getting this new nose box back on, and I don't see any bent suspension on this car.
Still holding it. And you can see that Weldon is also back in, and they go to work as Rice now pulls away. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, back at Dan's car, they're hammering on the left front steering arm, and I have to agree, I'm not sure it's going to be the safest thing as they go out. Anytime you bend a suspension piece like that, it becomes stressed. They're actually hammering on both the steering arms on both sides of the car. This is not going to bode well for this PPI team.
Well, I'll give them all kinds of credit for trying, but my goodness, I don't think I want to be Daniel Weldon at this point trying to drive that race car, at least not at any speed.
I would agree. And again, it's still not straight. He's going to have to keep coming on to pit road, but we're going to go green here eventually. And we did see that while they were working on Buddy Rice's car, we did see the pace car go by. So that means that Buddy Rice would have already lost at least one lap.
And Rice again visiting pit road. So every opportunity they go around and they come back in to get quick service and try not to lose more time on the track. Rice right now is in 16th place. And as John mentioned, he has lost a lap to the field. Once again, Brian Till is right on the spot.
Well, they're definitely affecting a right front tire change, and I shouldn't have said anything about bent suspension. It does look like the steering arm may be damaged on the right front of Rice's car. Seems like they've checked out the back. It's okay. Definitely working on the right front, and they're going to get him out as soon as they can. I'll tell you how professional this team stays, though. They have him shut the engine down. It is a warm day here in Milwaukee. They don't want the car to overheat, if indeed they can get him back out.
Mention that the top 12 finishers earn championship points. Rice right now is in 16th position, but has lost a lap to the field. And he is in danger of possibly losing another one before all is said and done, because you can see they've got a ways to go before they can get him back on track. He comes in as the season points leader, a 10-point advantage over Weldon. Weldon has got his own problems to deal with. He is listed in 17th place. One more look, Jan.
And the key is who came down and who went up. And you can see that Rice is coming down a little, but Daniel Weldon did not appear to turn out of the way. And you run into each other on the straightaway. Unbelievable. Rice does come down a little bit, yes. But I was really surprised that Weldon wouldn't have turned the wheel a bit to the left to make sure he didn't make contact. And it appears as though both these two guys are completely out of it now.
It was right in front of the grandstand, right, in fact, in front of the flag stand when that incident took place. Now we're anticipating green this time by. We've got 20 laps, 20 miles to go. Actually be 19 as they cross the line to take the green flag.
And Martin Basso pretty much did a standing start there. He almost stopped on the approach to turn number 3 and then hammered it. And here comes Hoover Orsi with that Jimmy Vasser helmet, picking up a spot on T.J. Bell.
Bell had gone down a lap, so he's not among the leaders. It's Basso, Bourdin, and Orsi running 1, 2, 3. That greenish car with the yellow, the new colors for the Lynx team, is David Rutledge, who is challenging for 3rd place. Lynx Racing, 10 years in Atlantic competition, changing their color scheme since the last race at Long Beach. And David Rutledge taking a look on the inside, but Orsi holds him on.
Mike
Look
Conti
behind him.
Mike Conti, big slide with T.J. Bell. That was almost like a choreographed slide with the two cars, and they both stayed in a straight line.
Rice remains in the pits. Weldon has gone through the pits. They are now not a factor as far as winning this race is concerned. They're hoping to get out and maybe salvage a point or two, but that is most unlikely as Weldon is in 16th place, Rice in 17th place at the current listing. Well, I think the day may be over now for Buddy Rice. We'll find out from Brian Till. Brian?
Well, I'm here with Buddy Rice. He's gotten out of the car. They've tried to effect some repairs to it, but I think there's just too much damage. Buddy, I know you guys were running wheel to wheel and having a good tussle of it. You know what happened?
Yeah, we were going down the back straightaway, and Weldon had caught the drive, catching back up. And as we're going down the back straightaway, bumps me coming out of 2. We already hit wheels once. Now we come out of turns 3 and 4, you know, and he just starts trying to drive you right to the wall and doesn't want to give you no room. And I had the run on him. We finally ended up hopping over his front wheel, and that's why he all got collected. He's not real smart, you know. We're already running 140 miles an hour, and he's deciding to bump wheels now again. So, just pretty dumb move, I think, especially for 2 points leaders for him to be trying to do that when we still have 20 laps to go. I mean, it's just reckless.
I certainly get Buddy's opinion on that, and obviously not a happy day for the guy.
Well, Brian, we now ride with our new leader, Martin Basso from Argentina. In Argentina, he's known as Martin, of course, and we asked him specifically this weekend, do you prefer Martin or Martin here in the United States? And he says, Martin is fine. He's happy to be Martin or Martin.
Whatever.
So we have anglicized it a bit, and we'll continue to call him Martin Basso.
It's interesting to me that his car looks pretty decent right now. We saw at the opening of the race, we went on board, and the thing was big time loose. So either the car is much better as they burn some fuel, or he's made an adjustment in the cockpit.
Well, Alex Gurney is running 6th in car 48. Conti is right behind him. And then you've got Dave Cutler in the red and white. Now here's that group going by us. And Bell, who lost the lap early on because of the penalty, is also in the mix.
David Cutler's having a good weekend. He's been quick in many of the practice sessions, been consistently quick, and very impressive here on these ovals. And I understand he's been quick in oval testing as well.
Driving for P1 Racing, Compact Computers, his top finish 14th in the second race at Miami. And right now, David Cutler is 8 positions better in the 8th spot. Martin Basso is our leader. Andrew Bourdin is now second. Those two have pulled out a little bit of advantage over the rest of their challengers as we take another break from Atlantic competition in Milwaukee. You're looking at Martin Basso, red and white, car number 46. He is our current leader. He's got traffic coming up to him, and we'll learn more about this rookie from Argentina and his team from Brian Till.
Well, Don Martin having a great race, and although you'd like to race for the lead, you're going to take it however you can get it. He's been running well all weekend long.
Oh, definitely. This is such a competitive series. We'll definitely take it any way we can get it. Martin's doing a super job. This kid's for real. He's kind of new to this kind of racing, but I think he's been making a good accounting for himself.
Well, if he's as excited in the car as the crew is here, I'm telling you, he's having a grand time.
Yeah, and he told us that he did run on what we affectionately call the Roval at Rio de Janeiro, which is a uniquely configured oval track where you actually have to downshift going into 2 of the 4 corners. So this is his first true oval experience here at this continent, and he's doing a very impressive job.
He is, and you can tell by watching his hands what the car is doing. You can see there's not a whole lot of counter correction there. No right turning of the wheel, and that means the back of the car has now settled down, and as long as his tires stay underneath him and the car does, he may be a-okay. But don't forget about Bourdin. He's a tough challenger.
Well, Andrew Bourdin, and he drives for the PPI Motorsports team and his Swift, and he's a veteran. He finished 3rd in points last year, 2nd in points the year before, so he knows all about the drama of Atlantic racing competition, and he is staying within striking distance, less than a half second back, but time is now becoming a factor because as they pass the grandstand this time, 6 laps, just over 6 miles to go. The race for 3rd place, Orsi in the silver number 9, and he's got his hands full. Dave Rutledge now in some traffic in number 19.
Whoa. For a moment there, I thought the door was going to be closed by Christophe Bouveau, but thankfully it wasn't, and now we have Rutledge right where he wants to be to try and make a move on Hoover Orsi.
So 2 good distinct battles here for the final 5+ miles at Milwaukee. One up front for 1st, another one right behind them for 3rd place. We're watching the race for 3rd right now. Orsi in number 9, and number 19 Rutledge getting by Asai with no problem as they put him a lap down. Average speeds approaching 150 miles per hour throughout this competition. A lot of room to race. Drivers love the oval at Milwaukee. And we've seen a dandy today highlighted by that unexpected drama between the 2-season points leaders, Buddy Rice and Daniel Weldon.
And in the middle of these corners, they're pulling 3.4 Gs at the highest point. So these things really are hanging the corners. That's 3.5 times nearly your body weight slamming you to the outside of the car. These things really hang the corners. 150 miles an hour on the approach to turn number 1. You barely lift off the throttle. It's nearly flat out all the way around. As I said, 3.4 Gs in that end and about 3.3 on the other. 141 as a minimum speed, 155 as a top speed on the straightaway.
We're keeping a close eye on this pair because Basso has opened up now a near 3-second advantage over Bourdin. So Bourdin unable to challenge, just trying to hang on. Now we take a look at Basso at number 46. He'll be coming up, and we think that the white flag will be displayed the next time by. So Martin Basso is on the threshold, just over a mile away from a victory in Atlantic competition, and this his rookie year, and this his first drive on an oval. We ride with him now, and I can imagine that his old heart is yeah, he is loving the moment. He knows what's going on. He knows that he's just 2 turns away. You ride with a winner in Atlantic competition. And you enjoy the emotion with him as he ducks way down to the inside wall to salute the crew. And there they are, enjoying the moment. Victory on the famed Milwaukee Mile, and this the 9th time the Atlantics have run on this historic circuit. They were first here in 1988, and there have been 8 different winners in the past. You can add a 9th name to that list. Winners like Bentham, Gidley, Barron, Mazzaro, Impringham, Greg Ray, and now Martin Basso takes his spot right alongside. So we ride with a jubilant winner at Milwaukee as he heads toward victory lane, and we'll meet him there and enjoy the celebration in just a moment. The 1000-cart Toyota Atlantic Championship has been brought to you today by Toyota. A 25-year-old newcomer from Argentina, Martin Basso, enjoys the taste of victory at Milwaukee. He holds on to beat Bourdin by 3 seconds. Hoover Orsi, David Rutledge, Alex Gurney, Rocky Moran Jr. in our top 6. The winner pulling off the helmet and the mask down there, and Brian Till is right alongside. Brian?
Martin, excellent job. Obviously, excitement on the part of the crew and yourself waving like mad on the cool-down lap.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I need to say thanks to Mike Shine, to Dan, to Sean, to Dave, my engineer. I'm really happy.
Tell you what, did you see the incident with Buddy Rice and Dan Weldon in front of you?
Yeah, I saw. I don't know what happened with that guy. We were pretty close 2 laps before, and we hit in the main straight. I don't know what happened with both guys, but I'm really happy.
A happy Mike Shank and a happy Martin Basso. A tremendous first win and a win for this team.
Well, indeed, they celebrate down there, and certainly this is going to jumble the point standings just a little bit. Basso, who had started the day in 7th place, will gain a lot of ground, but Buddy Rice and Weldon, who had that drama just past the midway point, continue to be the dominant forces. Andrew Bourdin is certainly a major factor suddenly now, as we will be looking ahead to the 5th round out of the 12-race championship series. Andrew Bourdin in the 2nd finishing spot. Let's go back to Brian Till.
Andrew, tremendous run. Obviously, this is going to move you up in the points, and you like to see that. How was the race for you from inside the car?
The race was really good. To be honest, I was just holding back because I was thinking tires were going to be an issue with the front runners. Tires weren't an issue. They took each other out, which is always fine with me for the championship. But I tried to make a run there at the end, and apparently my car isn't that good when the front end starts to pinch in the corners, because I almost lost it. I mean, I was catching him, but it was really on the edge, and I just couldn't make it, man. Almost.
That's what racing's all about, guys. But this is going to move Andrew up in the points.
Yeah, he is sitting in very pretty position now as they get ready for the next round. Let's take a look at the rookie points, too, with so many rookie drivers, and Basso and Orsi. And they have certainly enjoyed a great day here with podium finishes, and it's reflected in the current point standings now through 4 events. That's as far as the rookies are concerned for the year 2000. Now, the one key driver that we haven't heard from just yet is Daniel Weldon, who was involved with that incident, and you heard a very disgruntled Buddy Rice a short time ago giving us his version. Let's find out the other side of the story now as Brian has caught up with Weldon.
Well, Dan, disappointment is probably not even close to a good enough word. Can you give us some idea of what happened?
I think we were just running very close side by side, and it's tough when you're running out there side by side. I was understeering up, and he was like coming down, and we just touched, which is unfortunate for these guys because the car was excellent.
Guys, I think you got two really close competitors running wheel to wheel, and sometimes the bad things just happen.
Well, the young rookie out of England and Southern California, arms folded, watching his crew kind of digest still what has happened on this day. He ends up in 13th position today. Buddy Rice ended up 17th, both of them out of the championship points. Now, there was a championship point that went to Weldon for winning the pole. So a very eventful, a very interesting 4th round to our Atlantic Championship chase here at the historic Milwaukee Mile, won by Martin Basso, Bourdin, and Orsi, completing the top 3 and enjoying spots on the podium. Be sure to join us for the next CART Toyota Atlantic Championship race, which will come to you from the site of one of North America's most prestigious events. That's the Formula One race, of course, at Montreal. The Atlantics will challenge the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. John Beekes and Brian Till will be joining us for coverage of that event. Hope that you will have an opportunity to do the same. Thanks to the men and women who've made the broadcast possible on this day, and our congratulations to Martin Basso. He is now an Atlantic winner in what is going to be a most interesting championship chase for the year 2000. So long from Milwaukee. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com.